Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. I watched the film a couple of days ago and I loved it. And I'm a big horror fan, and I feel like it takes a
Mhm.
lot to scare me. But there were some moments in this film that I'm just, yeah, it really got me. So I was wondering, what was it like when you read those on the page and then to have to perform them? Because there's some real hard hitting stuff in here.
Yeah, I think by nature, being a method actor, it's sort of perhaps it gives you the upper hand on knowing that working inside out is the best, and that the out that of course you get, Josh, and you being a great barometer because of course you like the genre. Um, you're most scared when someone is afraid as a character. And so if I'm afraid as a character, then you end up afraid. And so as a method actor, um, having been trained as such, I kind of went to it knowing that at least the beautiful lob given by Kurt, our film's writer, was that he made this guy internally really, really messed up.
Mm.
Externally, he fits the part. We see the beginnings of the movie, and many people talked about in post production. I've heard that some of the team members have said this to me, that many people were trying to figure out whether we should have as much in the beginning pre the plane crash as you saw. And I think it was necessary because I think it's necessary to show how he sees himself when he looks in the mirror, what he avoids in looking in the mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the ugliest of them all? He's like nowhere near that conversation. He's like nothing but pretty here. Wife pretty, kids pretty, life pretty. I'm a lawyer. I got a big car, big wallet. All of those things are there for him. And so I think when I read it, I knew that I could go to those places of myself being afraid, like you as a viewer, because I realized the scariest thing in the world is for somebody to be this level of age and not know who they are. That's scary. That's not in a genre. And we ain't never created a genre of that, really just drama, or every genre of film is that. Love stories, comedies, horror and thriller, psychological thrillers, uh, again, drama, of course, but everybody's story in terms of being a singular character who we're voyaging with while they bump into another character that we then either embrace or don't embrace. I think it all speaks to people having to look deep within themselves as the viewer and as the person playing the character. So when I read it, I was afraid enough to answer your question. I was afraid enough, not just from what she'd give me, she being the iconic, brilliant, legendary Loretta and playing Eloise, but also in terms of what I read the script to mean and what I knew I had to dive into Omari to figure out how to bring out a Marky T. Woods. I was quite scared. So it worked for me.
That's awesome. And while I was watching your performance trapped in that bedroom, I couldn't help but think about Stephen King's Misery. It's a very
Mm.
similar sort of situation. But did you look at any horror films for inspiration for what you would bring to the table here? I know you said you're a method actor, but was there
Mm-hmm.
any performances or genres you looked at?
I stay away from that when all of a sudden I need to play it. You know what I mean? I stay away from it. There's a project presently, ironically, Josh, that I'm up for that has I don't know, has some smells of Born Identity. Um, and so I'm glad that I've watched Born Identity so many times prior. And I'm about to have an expiration date on when I can't watch it if I book the project, is my point. You know what I mean? Like I can watch it knowing that it's a possibility that I end up doing that movie or that story. But once I get it, I try to stay away because I don't want to be influenced by that, which is basically the same, if not similar to that which I'm now doing. So I've watched, James Caan. I've watched obviously Kathy Bates, not only in that project, but throughout their careers, and love what they bring to the table individually, not just within that movie, but within that space. They did such a fantastic job of making us all believe we were in the room with them in that movie that I
Yeah.
wanted to stay out of that room, if that's analogous to watching it, while I was in this room. I didn't want to cheat Mark, being our film's director, Mark Tonderay. I didn't want to cheat Loretta. This was my shot to remind her why she always sort of rooted for me. Because she did. She always was one of those. She, Felicia Rashad, um, Whoopi Goldberg. These were the elder stateswomen who always believed that Omari was maybe a force to be reckoned with as an actor, and I wanted to make her proud. So I didn't want to bring Kathy Bates and Jimmy Caan into me and her moment.
Of course. And one final question for you, something I know our readers are going to really want to know. Are you interested in superhero movies? Are there any Marvel or DC characters you would like to play? Because I know you're working on Army of the Dead with Zack Snyder, someone who's no stranger to superheroes. So is that something that interests you at all as an actor?
The top of the list.
Yep. Any particular characters, or you've not thought that far ahead?
You know what's the best part of social media has been for me is fan casting. And I think I've been cast. Could you imagine if the fans could cast? I think that I'm gonna take it past having been cast, Josh. I'm gonna take it to the full tilt. I think I've done about 10 Marvel movies by now. If it's connected to the films that the fans have cast me to play. The characters I don't necessarily want to say because that's disrespectful to the process and to the studio and to the execs and how they want to play that out. But hopefully I'm in some of those conversations quite soon. Shout outs to Zack Snyder and what he saw in me. I think he definitely sees my ability to do that. I know Dave Bautista whispered it and loudly stated it several times. But I think that's a good staircase. You know what I mean? It's like an interesting superhero to play in Army of the Dead before I go to that level that, friends of mine have been able to touch the likes of, and that being the Black Panthers and little brothers like Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. Like, it's kind of dope. And there's an 8-year-old in Omari that's burning to do it. And not only that, but my 5 and 7-year-old are waiting to be able to wear those costumes one day and say, this is what Papa played. They can't wear Ghosts, man, but they can wear these Marvel characters I play.
Oh, that's awesome. Fingers crossed for you. And as I said, I thought you were phenomenal in this film and I loved it. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. Super humble. Thanks, Josh.
Great day. Thanks so much.
All right.